preliminary Absa lifeboat report recommends that bank pay back 2.25 billion rand it received as part of an unlawful apartheid-era bailout. CIX report outlined how SA's financial systems were inherently corrupt under the control of the Broederbond and serving the interests of the old regime. Revelations by Competition Commission about collusion and rand fixing by SA's big banks, including Standard Bank, Absa and Investec. Recent public hearing hosted by Parliament's Standing Committee on Finance heard that 49% of the top 6 SA banks is still owned by foreigners. Blinkwatermills found guilty of price fixing of wheat, a staple diet for the poor. Partly Johan Rupert's owned Unilever SA found guilty of fixing markets and prices for cooking oils and bakery products. Big car manufacturers like Toyota found guilty of colluding to fix transportation costs. Big Four mining companies accused of robbing the exchequer by bullying and blackmailing Eskom through multi-billion cost-plus contracts. Well, joining me in studio is Andile Mngxitama, the national convener of Black First, Land First. A very good afternoon to you, Andile. And once again, I am sorry if I mispronounce your surname. I'm always quite nervous when it comes to that. But let me start by asking you, it's yet another weekend, it's yet another published by Sunday Times. Well, this time even Black First, Land First Anti-Colonization Foundation, their name has been dragged through the mud now. What is your initial reaction to this report that came out?
The report by the Sunday Times, it is entirely based on lies. It is a manufactured report based on manufactured sources, completely faceless. And we believe it's part of a well-coordinated campaign by white monopoly capital against its opponents. And they have identified our movement, Black First, Land First, its leaders, and people like Mngxitama to come under attack, to be discredited, and they are going to use lies to do so. It shows that Sunday Times have become the propaganda arm of Johan Rupert in our view, because it seems to us what triggered this particular report relates to the anger that Johan Rupert has over the fact that Bell Pottinger has been poached from him by the Gupta family. He's a bully. He's a brat. Johan Rupert has never lost in his life. He has he gets what he wants, and he's surprised that he's been outmaneuvered by the Gupta family. That his PR, agents have now moved to serve the Gupta family. It seems to me that is one of the biggest concern that has triggered this manufacturing of lies. The Sunday Times, in our view, has become the lead fake news manufacturer in South Africa. And the damage it causes, though, it's serious. Because if you look at the report today, it's based on lies, making unsubstantiated claims, saying that our movement has been funded or started by this PR organization, which is complete lie, with no basis whatsoever. And even if they did their own little research, they'd have seen that. From what their report says, that the Port Pollinger got involved with the Guptas last year, our movement was already in existence. So there is no relationship whatsoever between what they say and the truth. But our view is that it is a war. It is part of the battle to silence, to bully, to tarnish the names of those who are fighting against white monopoly capital. They want the nation to disbelieve our story and to disregard the fight that we have. And I believe part of it is because Black First, Land First, our movement, have been very successful in exposing white corruption and putting forward the face of Johan Rupert as the lead person in white monopoly capital involvement in illegal activities and corruption. Just to give you an example, it was Black First, Land First that insisted that the former public protector investigates the 26 billion stolen from the South African Reserve Bank under apartheid. And we know that the preliminary report by the public protector shows that, in fact, ABSA must pay back the money. And part of that 26 billion implicates directly Johan Rupert. And that's just the public protector. The commission, the competition commission has come out numerous times to show these banks are corrupt, but again, directly implicating Johan Rupert. It seems to us that white monopoly capital is now using the media to attack us so that with a desperate hope that we'll either be silenced or will be discredited or the truth will be put under the carpet. It's not going to happen.
And there's Manele Mani from the Decolonization Foundation. He has said that he's going to press charges against the Sunday Times. What is the plan of action for the Blackfist Landfist?
We are considering 3 points of action. The first is to complain to the press ombudsman, because that report is sheer lies. It's fake. It should not be allowed. So we'll see what the press ombudsman says about that, and then we are speaking to our lawyers to actually look at the legal action against Johan Rupert. But we, as a revolutionary movement, know that Johan Rupert derives his power from owning our land, which is stolen land. Johan Rupert is one of the biggest landowners in this country, and part of the reason he's feeling so jittery and he's acting out of desperation and he's panicking. Johan Rupert is panicking, and that's why he's instructing newspapers like the Sunday Times to strike out like this, is because he knows that black people in this country now want land back, and we want this land without paying a cent for it, and he wants to make sure that that doesn't happen. So we, as the third action we're going to take as Black First Land First, is to identify Johan Rupert's land, and in fact we're going to organize land occupations, because Johan Rupert does not own that land. It's stolen land, and he's using the profits from our land to buy parts of the media in South Africa to undertake campaigns, such dirty campaigns against those fighting against white monopoly capital. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the press ombudsman. We're going to take legal action. But over and above that, we're going to seriously identify his land and occupy it. It's our land. It belongs to us.
Now, this whole story around how President Jacob Zuma and the Gupta family are using allegedly using Bal Pottinger to manufacture a narrative around white monopoly capital. Yet again, there is no names in this article. It's a faceless accusations and faceless sources. Do you think that there's anything we can take from this article and that there's actually any credibility in this article?
No, the Sunday Times report is without basis in truth at all whatsoever. Well, what I think the Sunday Times should answer is this. This PR firm used to work for Johan Rupert. What were they doing for Johan Rupert? Isn't this the big question? Because Johan Rupert is angry that his spin doctors have left him. That is the fight really here. So the question must be asked, what work have this company done for Johan Rupert? Why does Johan Rupert need to have a spin doctor? He's supposed to be a businessman. He's supposed to be above board. He doesn't need any defense. He's supposed to, and we as BLF, one of the things that we want to put very open to Johan Rupert is we want a debate with Johan Rupert directly. We don't want the Sunday Times. We don't want his bulldogs and backing dogs. We want Johan Rupert to come out and debate us directly. We believe Johan Rupert is involved in criminal activities. We believe that Johan Rupert is the lead white person in this country who undermines transformation. We believe Johan Rupert leads the process of regime change. And we have evidence to show, and therefore we want Johan Rupert to come out and have a debate with us. Don't use your bulldogs such as the Sunday Times, Johan Rupert. If you are man enough, if your hands are clean, you don't need a PR organization such as the Bal Pottinger. Come talk to us so that we can expose you. We are tired of dealing with Johan Rupert. We see now, even in the social media, people like Professor Pierre Dufosse coming in defense of Johan Rupert by lying again against our movement and its leaders. So we think there is a coordinated campaign against those of us who are against white monopoly capital. And all of this is organized in the interest of defending Johan Rupert. So we think that it is time that we actually came out and said, let us have an open discussion about what is going on here. And we don't want representatives and agents. We want Johan Rupert himself, because we believe he's at the center of all these lies which are going on right now.
Now, the report claims that there is an unnamed document floating around government that actually claims that Bal Pottinger is being used to defame the white monopoly capital. Is it possible that this nameless, faceless document is just another piece of propaganda to shield the white monopoly capital?
I think that there is a strong case to be made that this so-called nameless document was generated by the agents of white monopoly capital. Why is it nameless? Why doesn't it have its authors? If it is credible, its author should come forward and say, we have authored it, we have evidence. But why would the Sunday Times use a document which has no authors, which has no person claiming that they did this to write stories which are damaging to individuals? So we believe that it was created, this document, if it exists. By the way, we haven't seen it. If it exists at all, it was indeed written by white monopoly capital as part of its propaganda war to make sure that we shift focus from the fact that today white monopoly capital is being exposed by the Competition Commission, by the credible black media, by the public protector, that the white monopoly capital is involved in institutionalized corruption. It is corrupt inherently. And that has been the focus of the nation over the past few weeks. Now we see that they're manufacturing lies, using nameless sources, using authorless so-called reports to do so. So indeed, we believe that this report, if it exists, it was authored by white monopoly capital to move our focus from the fact that white monopoly capital today in South Africa, it has been exposed as the lead illegal organization that is undermining transformation, that is sponsoring politicians to basically undermine even the president of the country. So we are not going to allow a narrative created by white monopoly capital to be given credence by an organization such as the Sunday Times. Sunday Times must also answer a very simple question. Have Johan Rupert recently given the Sunday Times group, the Times group, which is the owner of Sunday Times, money? That's what they must answer, because we have evidence that in fact this has happened, which then has reduced the credibility of, in fact it has totally eradicated the credibility of Sunday Times. Sunday Times has now become the propaganda arm wing of Johan Rupert. He instructs it and he does as he says.
Now, the report alleged that the entire outcry against white monopoly capital is manufactured and it's fake. So the paper is really claiming that the public protector's APSA report and all the other evidence that has come out is not real. It's fake evidence. So can you give us, you have given us a few examples, but give us some examples of instances of white monopoly capital during the route in South Africa.
The list is very long, but I think let us also just re-emphasize this. In South Africa, you don't even need to do any research and so on. We know, for instance, white monopoly capital owns more than 80% of the land in South Africa. And these are few families. We're talking about less than 35,000 white families. South Africa is about 54 million people. And 80% of our land is owned by less than 35,000 white families. And if you look at the agricultural sector, it's about 7,000 white families which basically have concentrated ownership. And this is white monopoly capital. Look at the banking sector. I mean, more than 90% of the banking sector in South Africa is white-owned. In fact, all the big banks in South Africa is white-owned. That is what is called monopoly capital. If you look at the mining sector, exactly the same. If you look at the consumption of money from the government in terms of procurement, again, over 90% of that money goes into white monopoly capital. So the evidence is overwhelming. And that is just what they do above board. We're not talking about what they do illegally, which again has been proven beyond doubt by the Competition Commission. So many reports from the Competition Commission, our own public protector coming out and saying APSA must pay back the money. And we know it's not just APSA that is implicated in that specific activity of stealing from the Reserve Bank, but other banks, including Johan Rupert's family and himself implicated. And also, I mean, this Unilever report by the Competition Commission shows directly that white monopoly capital is not just involved in the domination of the South African economy, but it is involved in systematic illegal activity to maintain its domination as well. So it is surprising that the Sunday Times would deny this fact and say it is created by some PR company, the fact that South Africa is owned by white monopoly capital. This is a fact which is beyond reasonable doubt. You don't need a PR company to tell you this. If Sunday Times live in South Africa, knows something about the truth, it is not blinded and is not terrified by its owners, including Johan Rupert, it would be coming out and in fact saying that we need to transform South Africa, break down the monopolies. It's shocking. I mean, even if you look at the SASSA, the grant matter, the fact that the company which has been given that deal is a white company. There are no black banks in South Africa, shut down again by white monopoly capital, including himself, Johan Rupert. We are disappointed in the Minister of Finance, who's failing completely to break down the monopolies. Today, as we speak, we don't have a black bank. We have nothing as black people in this country. For the Sunday Times to come and say the idea, the truth that South Africa is controlled by white monopoly capital shows that they have very little regard for the suffering of black people. In our view, it is a slap in our faces, in our history, in our truth today. The JSE, JSE, only 3% of the JSE is represent black people. We can go on and on. There's overwhelming evidence, and they know this. Why are they lying today? It is because they are protecting white monopoly capital. The Sunday Times is at war. It is at war. It's a propaganda war. It is based on lies and fake news. It is based on destroying the reputations of individuals and organizations that are fighting against white monopoly capital. That is the battle which is sponsored and is funded by white monopoly capital. And so we must not be surprised. There's going to be more of these kinds of attacks on the names of people from faceless sources, from these reports which are generated by the same white monopoly capital to try to make sure that the voices that speak the truth never see the day of light.
Now you have answered this question mostly, but why is the newspaper, why is it trying to create this image that white monopoly capital does not exist? Do you think that there is some vested interest at play?
Yes, of course it is. There is the battle against transformation. It is fought at many different levels, but in particular on the creation of narratives. Narratives, in other words, what explains the truth. They create narratives that takes us away from the truth. So if, as we say, we have seen the past few months that the nation has been able to focus on the fact that we have a problem in this country, and that problem is created by white monopoly capital. So what they have done is to then generate narratives fed through their media that remove us from this truth of the fact that white monopoly capital must be destroyed if we want to see change in this country, if we want to end racism, if we want to end the control of our nation by a small settler minority. So this fight, as we say, it has to be understood as a fight which is going to be fought on the media, it is going to be fought in the academy, it is a fight which happens in the realm of ideas. Our people are being fed lies on a constant basis, and they end up believing these lies. For instance, the lie that the problem in South Africa is President Zuma. The lie that the biggest corrupt family in this country is the Gupta family. They speak this lie every day, up to a point where our people start repeating this because it is oversaturating the media space. It is oversaturating even the thinking of our people. And in this way, they remove from view the fact that it is white capital, it is white settler capital that stole our land. The reason we are poor today in South Africa is because white people took our land and oppressed us. The fact that we are on grants, we live at 350 rand a month, our children. It is because white people have come here, took our land, oppressed us, made us slaves. Now, this narrative of white people will not, of white monopoly capital driven by Sunday Times and so on, will not go to the source, to the causes of our exclusion, which is precisely our dispossession from our land. What they will do is to make us fight about the grants, that the grants might not or will be given on the 1st of April. They don't ask the question, why is it that black people, 17 million of us, live on grants? In a country with so much wealth, why is it that white people do not require a grant? They don't even ask the question, who can live a dignified life on the basis of a grant? So those questions are not part of the narrative. The narrative created and generated and repeated is one that says the problem in South Africa is Jacob Zuma, the problem is the Gupta family. And of course we know why they attack President Zuma is only one president that has come out and said land belongs to black people and land must be returned without paying a cent. So we must not be surprised at all by what the Sunday Times is doing. The Sunday Times is part of the battle against black people, against transformation, against the truth.
Now, this is not the first time that South African media has been accused of fake news, or that even the Sunday Times in particular has been reporting fake news. What do you think can be done in South Africa to fight against this narrative?
Well, the first thing that needs to be done from the point of view of the law is to set up a media tribunal. That will be absolutely important. But the The second thing that must happen, we believe, that is black people must set up their own alternative media agencies, their own media, our own TV stations. But not only that, we need to get the SABC to speak the truth of black people as it should be. Right now, the SABC is timid. It follows the agenda set by white capital, and as a result, we end up having even the SABC, which is supposed to be more braver. It has nothing to lose if it followed the truth to inform our people. Our people are badly informed. Our people are fed lies, and even all the print, almost all of the print media is doing the same. By the way, just as a side issue, I see that the Sunday Times is at war with the Independent Group, which again, the Independent Group is actually suing them for manufacturing lies about the Independent Group. It shows you that the war today is fought at the level of ideas. Black people have to be absolutely careful about what they believe, what they read, what they hear, what they see, because there are a lot of opinion makers who are even black, who are pushing the white agenda. That is why if they speak, they will not say South Africa has to return to black people. Any person who's an opinion maker today who refuses to make the point that for us to make progress, land has to return to black people. Banks have to be nationalized. Mines also nationalized and given to the people. We need a black bank. The South African Reserve Bank has to come to the people. It cannot be privately owned as it is right now. If these sort of things are not said, then you need to be very careful, because what you're listening to is a narrative which is meant to make you fight your own brothers and sisters instead of fighting the enemy.
Well, thank you so much for joining me in studio. That was Andile Mngxitama. He is the national convener of Black First and Land First.